All right, everybody, what is good? Chapter 61 of Four Nights of Apocalypse. Back after the break. I believe it was Golden Week or something. So, like, all the manga were on break. So, but now that that's over, following the same trend that Nakaba does normally do, we do get a color page for Gawain, and we also get this nice additional page where we get to see the Four Nights of Apocalypse or the Four Nights of Prophecy, however you want to refer to them as, facing off against the Seven Deadly Sins. Not like facing off, but just like we get to see them like face to face, side by side, and it's kind of funny because like Gawain's like way taller than Escanor. I knew she was tall, but I didn't think she'd be that tall. The fact that Lancelot and Bon are kind of comparable in height, but still not really. And then it's weird because even in this image, like Percival looks more like Meliodas than Tristan, his actual son. But but that's neither here nor there. For the actual chapter though, this chapter was really good. This was a really good chapter in my opinion, especially coming off of a break. In the very beginning, it's basically taking place right after Pelgard's big explosion in the bar. Because after that happened in chapter 60, that was when all that stuff happened with Gawain, basically revealing herself, and Isolde had recognized her and all that kind of stuff. But so this takes place back at the bar. We get to see Meliodas. He can see the explosion, and it's kind of interesting because it makes me wonder: is Meliodas eventually going to show up at this place, to kind of like stop everything that's going on, or is he kind of going to stay where he is at? Because I can kind of understand why he would. He's the king. He's the strongest person in Leonis, like, bar none. There's really no reason, at least like immediately, that he should leave. Or there's no reason why he shouldn't leave and go down there and kind of wrap this up. But on the other hand, we do have to remember that Pelgard was here with another person. There were two agents of chaos. So, maybe Meliodas could be sticking around to kind of like protect them from that, or kind of protect, the castle and people from that. Or it could be one of those things where we have to remember that Bartra is still around, like Bartra is alive and around, and Bartra can see the future. He has the vision. This is basically how they have even been in this position in the first place, or even like I guess a lot of the more convenient things that have happened. It was because of them being able to see the future through Bartra's vision. So it's one of those things where I could understand why Meliodas would stay there to protect him if that was the case. Because the only person there is freaking Slater, and Slater's not about to like. Slater's strong, but come on now, it's Slater. But anyway, back at the bar, we do have Percival. He protected everybody from Pelgard's explosion with his with his freaking hero type magic. As we know, the most broken type magic in the entire verse, most broken magic. He protects everybody with that. And he basically is going to fight Percival, and he's basically going to fight Pelgard. And I like this a lot because it's like a round two, and it's like Percival with everything that he's learned since their last time fighting against Pelgard again. And it's one of the things where I understand Pelgard isn't fighting all out against Percival, but it's kind of dope to see like this mini exchange, I guess. So Percival does charge at him with his sword, enchanted and everything, trying to strike down Pelgard. But Pelgard does this like huge fireball, immortal fire, and Percival tries to like cut it down, but it like still splits apart into a bunch of mini fireballs. And I guess that's like, because I totally forgot about this too, that Pelgard's fire does track you down until it actually hits you. So it's one of those things where Percival actually slicing up the fireball is doing more harm than good because it's just making more and more fire. And of course, Percival's friends want to help, but as Annie said, they'd literally be burnt to a crisp if they were to even step out. Percival could heal them, but that's just like taken away from like Percival trying to handle this. So it really does show like there is a massive gap, in my opinion, between Percival and and like his actual group. Like the gap is actually pretty big. So I do hope that they kind of get some like some gains for themselves to at least kind of be able to stand near Percival. I don't really want it to be like how it was in Seven Deadly Sins, where like the actual sins like just shot way far off. Like the Holy Knights, like Gil Thunder Hauser and all of them weren't even close to like any of them. So I kind of hope it does stay somewhat relative. Like they can get really strong too, but at least have to see in the future. But Percival does use his hero type magic to suck all the fireballs in, similar to what he did against Talisker when he sucked in all of the hail. However, Pelgard shows that he is built completely different from that bum Talisker, and he just raises up the temperature of his fire to like hellfire, and then it like burns Percival's magic, which is hype because I don't think we've seen that all like that. Like burning magic. But then it also makes you think, like, did Pelgard actually make like the demon clan's hellfire? Because if Pelgard is capable of that as a regular human, Pelgard's like really really strong. Like if that's actually what that is supposed to be, the actual like demon clan's hellfire, then like Pelgard's actually kind of OD a little bit. Like, not even gonna lie to you. And then probably one of my favorite moments of this chapter is right after that, when Percival realizes that he's too weak to beat Pelgard. Because before this point, Percival kind of just charged in headlong against everybody. The only person he was definitely iffy against was Ironside. But like this exact moment here, Percival really understanding how weak he is, as Pelgard said, is a sign of maturity. So like Percival is growing as a character, which is kind of dope to see like right in front of us in this exact instance. But right after that, we do have Gawain showing up, and she just completely destroys Pelgard's new fireball, like his whole hellfire thing. She just like she casually points at it and just destroys it. And then this we really get to see like what kind of character she is. And it's basically, as a lot of people thought, and myself included, she's basically going to be another Escanor, but it does seem kind of different. It does seem a little bit different, because Pelgard does ask her, "Oh, was it you who like snuffed out my fireball, young lady?" And she's like, "Young lady, how rude of you!" Like she does have this prideful aspect to her, which is kind of crazy to see. Like she actually may be this like Escanor type character, but it's one of those things where I don't want to fully say she's Escanor until I kind of see like where more of her character goes. And of course, we need to see like exactly what her power is or how it actually works. And then we also see her like power up with her like golden magic, and it like blows Pelgard back. So it's like one of the things where Gawain is definitely like, she definitely appears to be much stronger than Pelgard. And this is like no weapons or anything. Just her just powering up, just her flexing was enough to blow him back. So she's definitely like kind of strong. Like I found it funny though that kind of the only reason Gawain is even here because Pelgard kind of stopped her from hitting on Isolde. Like that's kind of her only reason for being here, for him interrupting her romance. And I also like this little panel here of like Percival getting all chibi like, and like, oh hey, it's Gawain, and she's like, how did you know that? And it's just like that whole little scene was just kind of funny. And then of course everybody being surprised that Gawain is actually a chick. And then we have like this next part of everybody showing up. We have Tristan showing up, like, oh Gawain, I told you to wait. And like that scene where Tristan's like kind of like shaking his arms, it reminds me so much of Elizabeth. Like Tristan seems so much more like Elizabeth than Meliodas to me. I've said this before, but I really stand by it. And then of course after that we do get to see like Tristan kind of do like this half goddess, half demon power up, which we haven't seen this from him at all. And I was one of those people where I thought that Tristan really didn't have a lot of control over his demonic abilities. Now granted, he doesn't have any demon marks, which would be like the sign of like the real stuff, but his eye did turn black, and we know his eyes aren't black, so there is something there. I kind of hope next chapter we get to see this actual fight. Like I kind of actually really hope we get to see this fight, because I want to see Tristan do some things with his demon powers. And then of course we get Lancelot showing up at the very end, and then of course Pelgard is able to put this together, as well as Nansen's that oh wow, this is actually all four knights here at the same time. And then Pelgard, he notes that he's excited, and that's kind of where the chapter kind of like tapers off. That's basically the end of it. So next chapter we are more than likely going to get Pelgard versus the four of them. I'm very interested to see how this will go, because if anything, if Pelgard actually holds his own, then Pelgard will be like, he shoots up there in terms of strength. Like I said, this is one of my favorite characters, so he will shoot up there in terms of strength, and it'll just be mad impressive. However, if he does get absolutely rolled here, then I guess that'll boost up everybody else. So honestly, the next week is going to be a win-win for us. Next week, it's gonna be a win-win. We get to see the four knights go off, and we get to see Pelgard potentially go off. Like those are the only two ways I can see it going. Now, I will say I don't think Pelgard loses or gets captured here, because at the end of the day he does have teleportation. Like teleportation bead is a thing in this series, so it's like if it ever gets super hairy, he can just teleport out. And then there's the second person that was there with him, because there was two agents of chaos, I want to say. So it's like we still don't know what this other person is up to. So, and then something bad is still supposed to happen from the prophecy, aside from the trailer. I wonder if just the Chaos Knight showing up was the bad thing. So we still have a little bit to see in terms of how this can play off. I don't really think it's just, you know, the four knights clap Pelgard and then he just is like thrown in jail or something. I don't think that's how this is gonna go for sure. It's definitely gonna go a little bit different, but this chapter was super hype. I enjoyed it a lot. Granted, in terms of time passing and stuff happening, it wasn't a ton, but the development for Percival, as well as actually getting all four knights together at the same time, you can't deny the hype in that. So I'm gonna give this chapter probably a 8.5. It's a strong 8.5. I want to give it a 9, but I feel like that might be a little bit of the recency bias setting in for me. So I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. Let me know how you guys felt about this chapter. Let me know how you guys feel about Gawain. I guess that's kind of one of the things I'm really curious about, to know, like, do you guys feel like she's the new Escanor, or like how do you guys feel about her being in that same lane of character? Do you not like it? Do you like it? Just really curious on that. But aside from that, make sure you guys like the video if you watched it all the way through, and if you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you've been here watching my reviews, I mean, there's no reason why you should, you know what I mean? But aside from that, you guys all enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all in my next video.